as a young entrepreneur, you probably don't know anybody. You probably, you just winging some things. What I wish I would have did with hip hop wear, when I started seeing some traction and I made a couple $100 and I started making thousands of dollars, I wish I would have, like I tried to do at CSUNs with this professor, but I wish I would have knew to seek out the advice. I didn't know that. So if you're a young entrepreneur, look for your local, you can go to your local SBA office. There's a thing called the Small Business Administrator. What am I looking for? The SBDC, Small Business Development Center. Look for score.org. Look for your business chamber. Go into local businesses. Maybe speak to someone. Tell them about what you got going on and what you have. Like, seek someone. If you are going to college, talk to those professors, those business professors. Go to maybe the counseling office. Whatever you can do to to talk to somebody about what you are doing, because you might not know how big it actually is. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 9% Show. I am your host, Steven Burton. And here at the 9%, you already know, man, we keep everything 100. If I haven't done it, not doing it, or not about to do it, it would not come out my mouth. As always, here at the 9%, we go take a toast to the 9%ers and those that would like to be into the 9% club one day. Toast to y'all. And my opening line is not just a random line of like, if I haven't done it, not doing it, not about to do it. And today's going to be a story about what I've done already in the past. Well, a lot of this has been what I've done already in the past, but a lot of you don't know, or I might have mentioned in a couple episodes that I actually started my first business. I also sold candy in high school and sold mixtapes in high school. I was the first dude on the block with a burner, and I sold mixtapes and music. But we ain't gonna count all that. But right out of high school, right when I graduated, I started an e-commerce website before I even knew what e-commerce was, and it was hiphopwear.com. And boy, I tell you, it took off. Okay, it took off. I made it right in my bedroom. It took off. I took down the server that I was on, the web hosting server that I was on. I had so much traffic. I remember one Christmas season, where everybody shopping for Christmas time, had so much traffic. I took down my server, had to get my own server. All this stuff happened to me, and I was literally 18 years old. And it allowed me to have a lot of money real young. I experienced some stuff I probably should have experienced at that age. But I thought back to that scenario, and maybe on another episode, I'll dive deeper into like hip hop wear and what exactly happened there. But I wanted this episode to be about, if I could go back in time and tell my 18-year-old self, and give myself some advice on what I know now about business, what I would have told myself then. Like, this is the episode for all you young entrepreneurs out there. This is the episode. This is my advice to teenage entrepreneurs who are thinking about starting a business or who have started a business. This episode is for you. So I'm going to continue to tell a little bit about my background and kind of things that was going on with me in my life at that point. But I'm going to give you 5 tips that I wish I would have gave myself if I could go back. And one of the reasons that it's important for me to give this advice, because one big key about why I want to do this is because what was not given to me. I figured out everything by myself at that young age. There was so much stuff I didn't know, but eventually I went to Cal State Northridge, and the business was still going on. But long story short, I didn't think the business was going to be sustainable for a long time. I just didn't see it. I thought it was going to be a quick little come up, and I was just always scared that it was going to go away. Part of my advice we'll cover that a little bit. But during that time, at that point in my life, I had a lot of money in my bank account. I was young. I had no bills. I had nothing going on. And I just knew I wanted to invest in something. I wanted to, it was crazy. At that time, I was either going to buy a new car, because I was pushing a little 88 Chevy Blazer at the time. And I should tell you, never judge a book by its cover, never judge a car, because I was this young baller hopping out that hoopty and had all the money in the world. So, respect the dudes in the hoopty, because you never know. But I was either going to buy myself a car, as you know, an investment, or I wanted to invest in the stock market. I was starting to get the music bug at the time as well. And so also around that time, it was also an option to invest into a recording studio, which we'll get to again, maybe at a later time. But for investing in the stock market, I really didn't know what it was. And I was going to a summer bridge program at CSUN. I had to go through this program to get into CSUN because my grades wasn't the best. It was okay, but I was like, my SATs and stuff wasn't strong, but there was this program. It's like, if you pass this summer program, you get into CSUN. So I got accepted to that. And so shouts out to this professor I had. His name was Professor Scott. And I think I saw something that he recently passed away. So rest in peace to Professor Scott. But he had such an impact on my life, like in that one class that I had with him in this summer bridge program. But it was the first time like I've ever been challenged, educational. And it was like, I mean, I knocked that out the park. And it was like, he told me I was the first like black male to get an A in his class of that program and stuff like that. It was great. So he was a great teacher, black man, super great. But around that time I had told him, I was like, man, I got this business and it's taking off and I got this money and it's like, I don't know what to do with it. Like, I really need some advice. Can I, do you know anybody I could talk to or something like that? He was like, you know what? You should talk to the economics professor in the Pan-African Studies department. And this was at CSUN. I was like, oh, like, cool. So I was like, he set up a meeting with him. And mind you, like I said, this was the summertime, so it wasn't like super busy on campus or anything. So he set up a meeting. I hate that I forget this professor's name, but this was the only time I met with him. But if anybody know about a black economics professor back around 2002, 2003, put him in the comments one day because we blasted him out. And I pray he's not passed away or anything like that because I don't want to blast him out for that. But he did what he did to me, and I'm about to tell you what he did. So I go see this man looking for advice. And when I tell you, I pretty much told him, I think I might have had like $5,000, a few $1,000s I was thinking about investing. And I told him about the business I had and like, I got this money and I'm looking to invest in the stock market. And he pretty much brushed me off and pretty much told me straight up that I didn't have enough money to invest in the stock market. And I remember leaving out of there and I took it as fact. And now I think back to it as an adult now. And I'm like, you can invest $10 in the stock market. You can get an index fund, a mutual fund, anything. But he could have molded me to be something bigger at that point. He could have said, you know what? Hey man, you onto something great. Your business is doing this. Let me introduce you to this business professor. Let me introduce you to this person. Or let alone your economics advisor, give me some economic advice on the stock market that's correct. And so I've always thought that was like a fork in the road for me of like why it's important to give young adults, young kids, like take them under your ring, and be a mentor. Like why mentors is so important. And that's why like even creating this show was like, it's still an important thing to me. It's like advice can go, like, could you imagine if he would have told me the right information? Can you imagine if I had that 5,000 or 3,000 in the stock market and kept it 20 years later, 30 years later, like compound interest, all that stuff. Like, did he tell me any of that? No. But let alone if I would have had somebody that just took me up and just said, hey, this is what you got going on in your business. Congratulations. But I don't know if it's some crab in a barrel. I don't know if he thought I was a drug dealer. I don't know if whatever he thought. Like, what about come up with his money? I really don't know. Like it was early ages of the internet and who was really making a lot of money on the internet at that time. At least, I don't know. But, so that leads me, like I said, that's where I was at. So I think back, if I could go in a time machine and go back to that young Steve that went into that professor office and was shut out. And if I seen him walking down the hallway looking just really bewildered and like, what in the world? I would give him this advice. And that's what this episode is about. Okay. So the first thing I would tell young Steve and my teenage entrepreneurs out there is to appreciate the freedom of your time. Do not take it for granted. At that time, when I started my hip hop wear website, I got that thing popping by literally spamming the heck out of people on blackplanet.com. Shouts out to anybody that remembers Black Planet. But when I say I was spamming all day, I was spamming. Nowadays, it's hard to spam. You got to put in little, little captures or little, what they call it, captures or whatever them things is called. I don't know what they call it. But, put the letter or move or pick the trees and, to make sure you're a human and all that stuff. It's hard to spam people nowadays. But when I tell you, for like literally a month straight, every single day, all day, I had it down to a science. I would copy all these usernames, paste them in the notepad. And I remember down to this day, I would do backspace, comma, enter, backspace, comma, enter, backspace, comma, enter, backspace, comma, enter, just to have every username, comma, business name, comma, whatever. And I would take that and I would send out these mass messages. Oh, shop hiphopwear.com. We got Jordans, we got this, Gucci, this, both do this, Jacob watches, all this stuff. Everything that was popping in hip hop at the time, I was selling it. And I did that every day, all day. All night, boom, boom, boom. I had nothing to do. And so it was like the fact that you don't have, as a young entrepreneur, you don't have the responsibilities that adults have. You don't have kids, hopefully. You ain't got kids. You ain't got a wife. You might have a girlfriend. I'll let you handle that how you got to handle it. Or you might have a boyfriend. It's not just for the guys. But, obviously I'm saying if I give advice to Steven, but appreciate the freedom of your time. Like appreciate that I know it doesn't seem like nothing yet because real life hasn't hit you and bills haven't hit you. But when I started this business, I had nothing but time. I had no bills. I had no overhead. I was at my mom's house in my bedroom on a computer doing all this stuff and a computer that she paid for, an internet bill that she paid for. Like literally take advantage of the time this is your time to get it in life. And really shoot for the fences and don't get, if you have a business idea and you actually started this business idea, don't get distracted. Stay focused on it. Especially if you start seeing some signs of something going on, stay focused on that. So appreciate the time that you have, that you, trust me, that you will wish you have when you get to my age now and you got kids and you got responsibilities. And maybe you got to ask your wife or your husband, hey, you think I can start this business? And you just hope they say, yeah, I'm with it. Is what it is. But that leads me into number 2 here. Because I said, as you see the traction and as you see it going. So when you see traction, and this is it, I wouldn't say you need to, it's always good to get advice, but pretty much seek advice when you start to see traction. You, as a young entrepreneur, you probably don't know anybody. You probably, you just winging some things. What I wish I would have did with hip hop wear, when I started seeing some traction and I made a couple $100s and I started making thousands of dollars, I wish I would have, like I tried to do at CSUNs with this professor, but I wish I would have knew to seek out the advice. I didn't know that. So if you're a young entrepreneur, look for your local, the SBDC, Small Business Development Center. Look for score.org. Look for your business chamber. Go into local businesses. Maybe speak to someone. Tell them about what you got going on and what you have. Like seek someone. If you are going to college, talk to those professors, those business professors. Go to maybe the counseling office. Whatever you can do to get some to talk to somebody about what you are doing, because you might not know how big it actually is. With me, with my hip hop wear, I didn't think it was nothing big. Like the fact that I brought down my server, doesn't everybody bring down the server? Like, okay, what do I have to do? I met a developer. Okay, I got to get my own server. Doesn't everybody? Like, I don't know that. Like that is big time traction there. You know how many people had to hit my website for it to bring it down and for my hosting company to kick me off? Like that is big time traction. So you really want to seek advice and really quickly learn the things you do not know, or just really what you have in your hand, what you created, what your product is. Like you might be really onto something, and that key advice could lead you to help you scale it up, to help you develop it, to help you grow it. It's just, or just to think about it differently. Like really seek that advice, and especially if you start seeing traction with it. Once you always look for advice and, look to learn anything. But if you start seeing traction in the business you've started, seek advice as soon as you can, okay? The third thing I would tell a young Steven, as I take me a sip really quick, hold on. The third thing I would tell myself was to get legit ASAP. Now, what I was doing at this time, I wasn't paying taxes. I didn't have a license. I didn't have a reseller's permit. I didn't have anything. Okay. All I was doing was getting my sales. PayPal was even new at the time, fairly new at the time. Getting my sales that. I was getting my money. I was going to the bank, withdrawing money, going straight to Western Union. Y'all probably don't even know what Western Union is. There was a day before Venmo and Cash App and all these other things in Zelle where to send money to somebody else was a fairly hard thing to do, okay? But I would go to Western Union, that's how and I would transfer money to China. And China was my plug. And, you know, I was a drop shipping setup and things like that. But literally that was my flow. And I would just make the money, put it in my pocket, go about my business. The bank started knowing me by name. I can only imagine what this looked like. I feel like I look young now, okay? But so I knew I looked like a baby at 18 years old. So I could just imagine me going into, I'm literally walking into these banks like, yeah, I need to make a withdrawal. Like, oh, hi, Steven, how is Burton? Like literally at 18, 19 years old. Like that was some crazy stuff, but it was all legit. I mean, it was legit money. It was in my account, but I was not doing, like if the man came for me at the right time, I wouldn't have nothing for him. I'd be like, what you mean I need to pay taxes? What you mean this, that, third? So as soon as you're able to get legit, do it, even if it's after the fact. It's okay. It's never too late to register and do all these things. But it's important because as you grow your business and grow this idea, you really want to make it a legal entity. And it's just super important. And nowadays, it's super easy. Hell, you on YouTube right now. Just Google how to become an LLC or how to start a checking account or how to get an EIN number with the government. You know, it's a whole lot easier to get information. But I'm telling you, don't just get happy with the cash coming in your account, okay? Because nowadays it's even tougher too because let's say you have an e-commerce website and come that end of tax year, Mr. PayPal or Mr. Shopify, whoever it is, they gonna send you a little tax document that says, hey, you made X amount of money, especially if you made a good amount of money. So you just want to get legit as soon as you can. And I would definitely tell myself to do that because, honestly, like I said, I'll dive into this story one day. A simple thing of like getting a merchant account for me and getting away from PayPal would have been a lifesaver for me. Would have allowed us to allow me to grow to I got to get into this story. Trust me, I will get into the story of hip hop wear and what happened with that. But so just get legit ASAP. Okay. The number 4 thing that I would tell myself if I was going back on that is build on your success. Okay. We have a tendency, especially when you're young, to like get on to the next thing, like get on to something else. For me, I was like, I really didn't care about it anymore because the music bug hit me. And I did invest into a recording studio, and I started doing music. And, it turned out to be a very good investment. And, I'll get into my music career on another episode as well. But but I feel like I gave up or I didn't know what I had. I did not know. I did not know what I had. I thought everything I was going to touch was golden. I thought everything I touched was going to be a success. And it's not like that. You might be seeing some success now. Appreciate it. Appreciate the moment. Build on it. Scale it up. Like double down, triple down, quadruple down on what you're doing. Like do not think that, I'm bored of this now because you're a teenager. You're going, maybe just starting college, whatever the case may be. Maybe in high school, whatever. You just got a girlfriend, just got a boyfriend. Appreciate what you have. I know it could be hard, but stay focused on it and understand that is not a guarantee that it's going to repeat if you try it again. It is not a guarantee. So appreciate what you have and build on that success. Scale that thing up that you're growing. Figure out how to do it. Again, use all these steps that I'm giving you, but figure out how to build on what you already got going on. It's very important. I wish I would have told myself and appreciate what I have. A crazy story, a side story, what I'll give this when I say build on your success. So my hip hop wear site ended up dying, and I kind of just let it die. And if anybody sees this that bought from Hip Hop Wear back in the day, and I owe you some money, put something in the comments, and I can see what I could do for it. Because like I said, we'll dive into it. But things was bad, and I just let the thing die. But I mainly let the thing die mainly because I was focused on music. I was like, okay, I don't care about that no more. But fast forward to when I was starting perfecttux, my current company. I remember driving to one of my vendors in downtown LA, and I drove by this building and it said Nice Kicks. And if anybody's sneakerheads out there, I'm not a sneakerhead. So it's funny, I start all these companies that I'm not super passionate about. Like my Hip Hop Wear, I sold a lot of shoes and, you know, custom Jordans and like that. And I've never owned a pair of Jordans. Can you believe it? But anyways, I drove by this building, Nice Kicks, and I was like, Nice Kicks. I was like, whoa. I was like, what the heck? And I Googled them real quick, and I was like, back in the day, Nice Kicks was a competitor of mine. They were fairly new too. And this is over 20 some years ago. And when I drove by, I was like, they have a building with now look at the Instagram, look at this thing, like millions of followers. Like they're like the media person of shoes. And I'm like, this is crazy. And it really made me think, wow, Steve, what could have Hip Hop Wear been if you would have kept it going for 20 years? Like, imagine if you had that much success so early. Imagine where it could have been. So don't be like me, kids. Build on your success, okay? Build on it. The number 5 tip, okay? The number 5 tip that I would give you is network like crazy, okay? When you're young, especially, you know, as for me, being young and black, and, you know, our networks ain't that big, okay? We ain't got you know, most of us ain't got the neighbor to talk to, or your kid, your dad's friends with the head of the college, or whatever it is. Most of us don't have a starting off network. And even if you do, your parents got networks. You probably ain't got it as a teenager. You ain't got your own network. Okay. You got the people you went to school with. You want to start building your network in the business community as soon as possible. Think local events. There might be some startup events going on in your neighborhood. There might be, Chamber of Commerce might be holding something. Whatever you can find to get into that eco space of that startup space, and find other founders, and just, go to conventions or whatever you can do. Use some of that money that you hopefully getting from your business that you're going, and go to some of these things. Get exposed to all the things out there. Start building your network, because they might not be important right now in this second, but trust me, there are some people that I got on my network that I've had over 10 years, and I could come to them now and we could really talk some real business on some things that could pop off. I can help them. They can help me. Your network will be so important, and you just want to start fostering those networks and those connections as soon as you can. All right. So that is the 5 things I would tell a young Steve if I could go back in time. And I guarantee if those 5 things was told to me, and I wasn't, and I took the advice, because also you got to receive this stuff too. Being young and dumb, it's a real thing. But I feel like I was ready for life. Okay. I was ready to go get it. So I feel like I would have took these. But if you take these 5 things and just apply it to what you're doing, I have no doubt that you'll be so successful in what you're doing. And if not for what you had, what you will grow. And just, man, we want to stay for the young entrepreneurs. We want to keep you guys dreaming and hoping and knowing that you could change the world. Because trust me, you can. And don't ever let a professor at CSUN in the office tell you it can't be done and that you can't invest money into the stock market. Put $10 in there today. Okay? You can do it. All right, y'all. Till next time, that is the end of the 9% show. Please like and subscribe and do all that good stuff for this video. And if this video is impactful for you, share it. Share it with somebody. Email it to somebody. Put it on DM it to somebody. Please get this out there. We are at the 9%. And next time, I will see you next time. Peace out.